Welcome back to another one of Nathan's commentary videos, heading towards 100 videos. Like it, share it with a friend. Today, Nate wants to talk about predators that walk amongst us.
Yeah. Well, I was just reading this ABC article. Now, over the last sort of 10 years, I've read extensively about like abductions and murders and serial killers, that's something that I only came to reading about when I was about 25. Those subjects and really extensively understanding some of the predators that we have history on, because obviously you can study these predators. Studying predators has really changed my perspective on safety in the world. But I've just been reading this ABC article. I'll just tell you what it's called. The ABC article, which came out on Friday, is called Newcastle Graffiti Marks Gordana Kotevsky's Abduction in 1994 as Investigation Continues. So first thing I want to do before I talk about predators, I'll just praise the graffiti artist. I've been watching this guy for a while. I used to live uptown. His stuff is Your Life Matters. He does Your Life Matters, and I think he does The World Is Yours with the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton and the crown. Like, he's got a really positive message. I've been seeing his stuff around the top end of town for a few years now. I think he's a champion. Real positive graffiti. This guy knows the power of graffiti. For me, my graffiti is about leaving a message that will make people think, and I think that's what he's going for. So he's done this graffiti around town commemorating this girl who was abducted in Charlestown in 1994. So I've read the article, and I've read a lot of these abduction cases, and it's something I didn't realise until a few years ago. You just got to understand there are predator personality types in the world now. You can just be walking down the street in the middle of your life, with your whole life ahead of you, and you get abducted and murdered. And what they probably did, this was very premeditated. They probably just got together as a group of guys and said, right, let's go find a young girl to kidnap, and we'll rape her and we'll kill her. It wasn't until maybe 8 years ago that I realised there are guys out there who do that, and there are women who are predators as well. So it's just something you have to realise, and I think you realise as you get older and you get a bit more exposure to what's happening in the world, is you realise it is a dangerous world and there are dangerous personality types. As I said, these guys, what's the thinking? How can anyone have that thinking? To sit there, group of guys, and just get together, and this is their attitude, and we're just going to go and find some teenage girl, kidnap her, rape her, and kill her. And that's their mentality. Is it lack of intelligence? I think part of it is cultural, because we're a warlike species and we're a violent species, and nature is a violent system, and there's a lot of violence inherent in the universe, and I think it just feeds more into cold mentalities and psychopathic mentalities, and brutal mentalities, the brutal nature of the universe. The universe is a brutal environment, and the universe is a brutal environment. It's like the dinosaurs were on the planet for millions of years, then a rock fell from the sky, then all the dinosaurs died, and that is the nature of the universe. It's brutal survival. Anything can happen and you can die, and I think in people that just knocks any compassion out of them as you go through life, and more things happen. So I think sometimes these cold killer mentalities and personality types can emerge through like the harshness of life, carving people to be that cruel, callous personality type. But also I just understand now, there are some people I think just born killers, and just don't have any compassion or interest in other people. And when I was a teenager, when I was young, I sort of assumed everyone was inherently good and that the world smashed people until they became evil. But now I understand, there's nothing that says that anyone who is born in the universe has to necessarily be a good person. They could just as it's all just chance and random. They could just as easily be born a complete psychopath who is a ruthless killer. It's like, I don't believe there is any divine God declaring moral right in the world. It's a dangerous place, and the reality is some people just don't have any capacity to care about the welfare of others. But this case about this Gordana Katevsky girl who was kidnapped at Charlestown just shows you that you do have to acknowledge that these things happen in the world. This happens to people. This girl had her whole life ahead of her, and she was only walking a short distance home from the shops where everyone was hanging out, and then she would have been brutally raped for hours and then killed, and that's the end of her life. And you have to understand that is the nature of the universe. These things can happen, and you can die at any time, and you can fall victim to violent crime, and you can fall victim to predators. So I'm not, I lost naivety many years ago, mostly through studying killers and murder cases like this, and through also being exposed to people who don't regard the welfare of others in my own personal life. I'm confident I've met a few psychopaths in the last 10 years. Some of the people I've dealt with, I'm convinced they were psychopaths with no capacity to care about the welfare of others. So this story about Gordana Katevsky just reminds me that you have to know that it's a reality of the world that there are dangerous predators out there. So again, I want to praise the graffiti artist for his positive graffiti work around the community. I really like what he's doing, and I'm glad he's been recognised in this ABC story for his positive contribution to the community through graffiti art. I try to contribute a positive message with my graffiti art. I believe in the power of graffiti. So if you don't understand that there are predators in the world, you should understand it is reality of life. It's a dangerous world. So drop a comment in the comment section about your views on predators and what I've said today.